Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nick Tier, social studies teacher, and I'm going to talk about using Google Forms in the classroom, some of the ways that you might try to incorporate it into your class. So we're going to get started. We're going to use our Springford ID. So it's basically your Springford email address and your network login to get into Google. So just take a moment and get to Google if you haven't already, and log in and get to your Google Drive. So your Drive, again, if you're not sure how to get there, you can just get there by clicking on the little grid up here in the corner and selecting Drive. Your Drive may be empty, may be full, depending on how many documents you already have in your Drive. To navigate, it's fairly simple. The New button over here is what we're looking for. This helps us, or allows us to create new, different kinds of documents, docs, sheets, slides. Click on the More, we get to Google Forms, which is what we're interested in this afternoon. So open that up and we get a new blank form. It prompts you to try the new Google Forms. We don't want to do that. The new Forms doesn't have all the bugs fixed in it yet, so we're just going to stay with the other one. The original form is a little easier to use. So this is our Google form. It's just a blank document that we're going to add some questions and some variety of other things to. So first thing we can look up here is the kind of form settings. If you want this form to only be seen by people within Springford and they have to use their Springford account, you want to click this button here. It requires you or the student to use only their Springford Google ID to get into it and to take the form and use the form. You can automatically collect their username as well. Again, that's going to require them to log in with their Springford ID. Progress bar at the bottom just tells you, how far into the form you are. And then 1 page per response, again, requires login. And you can have the shuffle setting on so that if you want the questions in a different order for each kid, you might be familiar with that. Okay. So I'm just going to leave my settings like this, the original form settings. Below that, then you see the first page, and it asks for a title. So to change that, just click on it and title this sample form. And that's the title of the form that you're going to see. It changes up here in the corner as well. So that'll be the name of your form in your Drive. Now again, see how it says all changes saved in Drive? Drive automatically saves anything that you change. So any changes you make immediately, there is no save button in this. If for some reason you want to go back, you can go to the edit button. You can go to the edit back button and undo, and fix anything that you want to change. Okay. So anyway, we got sample form 1. So I want to ask some questions. So you want to kind of think about what's the purpose of this form. So what can you use Google Forms for? Kind of think about it in that kind of aspect. It's best for gathering data, right? This is essentially a survey. So one of the ways I use it in class is to give quizzes and in some ways exams. I actually gave a midterm through Forms this year. So it works very well for that kind of thing. Student projects, if students have to gather any of their own data for any sort of project, they can use a form in this way. So basically anything where you need to gather data, Forms is useful. Applying it to, again, a social studies class, in government and politics, we do a lot of surveying, so we can gather survey data, poll data. Thinking about it from a business perspective, maybe you want to teach a little bit about marketing, a marketing survey, and what makes a good survey and what doesn't. And again, just in terms of your classroom, these make good assessments for you, so you can gather your own data about students. Okay, so we have a question here. Give it a title question. How many stars are on the U.S. flag? Okay, and I want this to be a multiple choice question. I can change that. I can have it a variety of actual different questions. A text question is like a short answer. I want a sentence. A lot of times on a survey, this would be the explain your choice. Paragraph is much longer. This is if I want my students to write a page, even 2 pages worth of text for me to read. We have multiple choice checkboxes, works very similar to multiple choice. You would want to use that though if you're going to have more than one answer. And same thing for choose from a list. There's a scale option, so on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, how would you rate something? That's, again, good for survey data. And then you can use a grid, so put a table in there, rows and columns, in which you could have the students respond in a grid to a variety of answers, and then date and time. So we'll stick with multiple choice for now. And then you just simply type in your numbers. And there are my choices for my questions. And then if I want this to be a required question for them to move on, I click that, and they have to answer that to move on. And there's my question. So when the students see it, they'll see that question, they'll have these options, and they choose that answer. And then to add another item, I just click Add Item, and again, I get my options down here. Okay, so I can add different kinds of questions. You can add images and video into this as well, so if you wanted the kids to watch a video. So if we do that, the videos typically come from YouTube. You can search directly from YouTube on here. So if I want to find like Crash Course Economics, and there's a variety of different videos under that, and I could choose the video I want, and I could insert it. I could also use a URL if I have something from a different source from Vimeo, and I have the share URL for that. You can use that, or even something that you find on the web. As long as there's a URL, then you can insert it into form. Okay, so I could use Crash Course Economics, click Select, and I give it the video title. And then I have my video. I could center it, do whatever I want with the video settings. The window stays small, but there is the option to make it bigger, make it full screen, so the students can decide what they want to do when they get there. And I click Done. And then if I want to, again, answer some questions about it, maybe I want to have a text question and, explain what economics is. And then their answer goes there. I click Done, and there I go. I have a video with a question, and it's embedded in the form. Okay. If I want to have multiple pages, so you kind of see a survey where you're on page 1, and then you click and you go to the next page and such. You go down to Item, and you just add in a page break, and then that goes to the next page, and then sample form 1. Done, and this is my second page. So once they're done with this question, they go on to the next page, and so on and so forth. You can put as many pages in there as you want. Sometimes it's a little more convenient rather than having, if you have probably more than 5 questions, you'd probably want to make separate pages so that you don't have to keep scrolling down and scrolling down and scrolling down. You just go to the next page. It makes it a little more convenient for the user. Okay, but fairly simple to edit and save. And again, if you want to change something, you just click this little edit button here, which is pretty familiar. You add that in there, and you can edit and change anything. If you really don't like it, you can trash it and delete it. And again, there's always that undo button if you don't like what you did. Google saves everything. Okay. So then let's say we have our form completed. You have this little message here when they enter their responses. Your response has been recorded. You can change that and edit it to whatever you want it to say. You can allow them to submit another answer if you want. So if you want them to take the survey multiple times, that's fine. And you could also allow them to edit their responses after submitting. So if this is something where they want them to submit, but you can have the person go back and edit their responses. I typically leave all of these blank because I want it, when I send this out, I just want one answer from the person or group of people. Okay, and then so once we have that all straightened out, now we need to make the form live. If you want to see what it's going to look live, you just click that View Live Form there. And Google will send you to, this is what your form will look like when the taker takes it. So we have our required question, and then explain that, and then we go on to the second form, sample form 1, and then they click submit, and your response has been recorded. So that's what the view form looks like. Okay. So in order to get that out there for your students or whoever you want to see it, we click the send form button up here in the top. And there's two ways you can do it. One is to enter email addresses of people that you want to view. Our students' email addresses through Google aren't active yet, but when they are, we'll actually have our class lists uploaded into our Google accounts, and we can share through this. The way that I do it now, it's fairly simple. Just copy and paste the URL. So I copy this URL and I create a link on Fusion. So kids will go to the page for their class, find the link for Google Forms, find the proper link, click on it, and it takes them to that live form. If you're creating a website or something within your class, again, a marketing website or a history project or something along those lines, you can embed this in there and into your website. So we just click done, and then we can email that out. When people start using the form and giving you feedback, obviously you want to see what that data is. And so Form then creates a sheet for you, and we get the responses. So we can see here under responses. First of all, when we're done with our form, if we don't want any more responses, we can click this accepting responses and change that to not accepting responses anymore. So this form has been turned off. So at this point, I'm not accepting any more responses. Sorry, you missed your window. To activate that again, you just change it, and now we are. To view responses, we can again go to responses, click view responses, and it takes us to a Google Sheet. And for those of us in the business department, Sheets is pretty much exactly the same as Excel. There's some functions in there that Excel does that Sheets doesn't, but for the most part, it's Excel. It's just Google's version of it. And then we get to see our responses. So this is the timestamp. If there's a username, that will be in there as well. So I know, could have sent NTIR in there, so I know who said it. If I want an anonymous, there's just my response. There's also the option under here, under responses, to view a summary of responses. And this presents the data in a little different way. It gives us some charts and graphs and such. It tells us how many people are responding on a given day. So it allows us to kind of track that sort of data. And you could also publish that if you wanted as well. If you wanted people who took this to see that, or if you wanted to publish this within a website, you could click that option and do that as well. So that's essentially forms. Oh, one other thing here for sample form. If I'm going to use a sample form to give a grade, an assignment, you can actually get some add-ons. And you would do that through clicking the add-ons button and clicking get add-ons. And the add-on that you're interested in is called Flubaroo. It's F-L-U-B-R-O-B-A-R-O-O. And when you type that in and search for it, so it's Flubaroo, it's a little apple with the two O's, and it quickly grade and analyze online assignments. So I actually already have this added in. And once you add that add-on, you just click download and manage. Flubaroo you can enable it on the sheet, and it will actually grade assignments for you. So just to give you an example of what that looks like, go to my my midterm, and here's my midterm responses. So you can see here are the responses for the kids. As it kind of loads here. And then down here on the bottom, when you get all the way to the bottom, it has an option for grades. And so once you go to Flubaroo and you say, grade the assignment, it actually gives you a percentage grade based on the answer key that you put in. And again, you get these great analytics from this assignment. So if I actually go to my U.S. History Honors midterm, and here's my form, and I have responses, and I can get a nice summary of my responses. And kind of see what my students are thinking, what they're doing. I get some great analytics, pie charts, for all the questions, and that gives me something to go back and look at. So anyway, forms might be something you want to use in your class. Very simple tutorial, I think. Very easy for you to go back and figure some things out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.